Welcome to the AI for Interior Designers podcast, where creativity meets cutting edge technology. In each episode, we dive deep into the world of artificial intelligence and explore how it's revolutionizing the interior design industry. From AI powered design tools to the latest trends and innovations, we've got you covered. So plug in, relax, and let's embark on this exciting journey together. Welcome to AI for Interior Designers podcast. P.S. This intro was written by and voiced by AI to sound like your host, Jenna Gaidusek.
Hey designers, welcome back for episode 50. Can you believe it? We made it to 50 of the AI for Interior Designers podcast. I'm your host, Jenna Gaidusek, and today I want to talk about some sustainability practices using AI. This is a huge topic of debate. It's also a huge topic of misinformation and just lack of information. So I do encourage you to do your own research. As always, I like to do my research using Perplexity AI just because it is great. I go down rabbit holes. I get to find all the source information for every output. So if I ask something and it gives me bullet points, lines, it'll be like, here's where I found this answer. Here's the article for this answer. And it gives you all the sources so that you can go and educate yourself versus going and Googling and getting the top answer that paid to be there or the, summary from Google and stuff like that. I just love a chat-based research tool, and Perplexity has been something I've used now for almost 2 years, and it's just really great. So a lot of what I'm going to be mentioning today, I will let you know the sources, and I'll probably also do a blog post article about this just because I have so much information on it, and it's a great topic of discussion for a lot of us in the interior design industry because this is what we do, right? We make things more sustainable, more habitable, more friendly to humans, we don't just select sofas and rugs and pillows and say, aren't these colors pretty together? No, that's not why we got into this. For some people it is, but for a lot of us, it's not. We got into this because we want people to live better lives, and that is it. And a lot of that just starts at home, right? If you can function in your house, you can operate in your life tenfold, so much better. So today, I want to open up this discussion and at least get the gears turning and, educate you, hopefully, if this is new to you, on what these issues are and what we can do in our day-to-day lives to help to fix the issues that are so obviously glaring us in the face, right? You all know that I am a realist when it comes to things that I foresee being potential issues, even if they're not now, just something to have on a radar for the future, but also be nice to us, say please and thank you in case if they do turn on us, those types of things. It is what it is. And the only thing that we can ever control is what's in our power. Right? And so sometimes the things that are in our power might seem small on a day-to-day basis, but they actually equate for a lot more in the scheme of things. And if you are a sustainable designer or architect or what have you, and you've been doing this for years, kudos. You're on it, so you probably already know a lot of the things that I'm going to be mentioning today, but there's little parts of this that hopefully people will be able to see now and make small changes because again, it's all that we have in our control. When it comes to the sustainability and usage of AI, there's going to be debates as to, is it actually helping or not? And yes, it is helping. Okay, so that's not even a debate in my mind. AI is literally helping so many small businesses, just the world change for the better. Yeah, there's going to be people that do bad things with it. There's going to be bad people in this world always. And if you're new here, welcome. Okay, because that is not new. Bad things happen when bad people get their hands on them. But what if a lot of good people put their hands on it, right? What if we do the right thing? And what if we as a collective in this interior design industry just start to make small changes every day to the things that we can control? That's going to make an impact too. Okay, so don't sell yourself short and think that, oh, well, I don't build AI models and I don't build these data centers. So what am I going to do? Well, don't drive your car as much, hang your clothes out to dry. I'm going to break down some numbers for you today that I think are going to be very surprising in what AI actually uses and then what you use on a day-to-day basis. And for me, it was eye-opening. So I'm sure for a lot of you, it will also be eye-opening. But before I start with that, I want to start with what does kilograms of carbon dioxide mean? Okay, so when you see the kg CO2, we're going to be kind of boiling everything down to that today. So I wanted to just give you a preliminary, like here's some information for you about what these terms are. So kg, kilogram, CO2 stands for kilograms of carbon dioxide. So it's a standard unit that's used to measure the amount of carbon dioxide gas released into the atmosphere by a specific activity, product, or process. All right. So why use that term? Carbon dioxide, CO2, is the main greenhouse gas produced by burning fossil fuels like coal, oil, or gas, and is the primary driver of global warming. This information is coming from datablink.worldbank.org and our world's, what does that say? In data. So data reports here. To compare the climate impact of different activities, all greenhouse gases like methane and nitrous oxide are often converted to CO2 equivalents or CO2e based on how much they warm the planet compared to CO2. All right. So, how's it calculated? If an activity emits only CO2, like driving a gasoline car, the emissions are measured directly in kg CO2. If other gases are involved, like methane from cows, those amounts are converted into the equivalent amount of CO2 that would have the same warming effect as and reported as kg CO2e. Okay? So just to give you an idea of what all those terms mean. So here's something for you. If you were to drive a car for 1 mile, it's about 0.4 kilograms of CO2 that gets emitted, depending on the car. Now, if you were to search in ChatGPT, which is considered a large language model or an LLM, so if you hear me say LLM, just kind of in your mind, think ChatGPT, okay? Or there's others, but ChatGPT is maybe what you go to there. So if you were to ask 10 searches a day for an entire year, that's going to use 16 kgs of CO2, all right? If you switch all of your home's light bulbs to LEDs for 1 year, on average, it's going to save 433 kilograms of CO2. So 16 kilograms for asking 10 questions to ChatGPT every day for 1 year, or switch all your light bulbs to LEDs for 1 year and save about, because everybody uses their lights different, 433. You see the difference here, okay? So I say 10 on average because, I mean, that's a fair assumption just right now with where we are, what you could potentially be asking. And maybe you don't ask things on Saturdays and Sundays, maybe you don't ask things every day. Like it kind of balances out, right? So this is helpful because it's basically a standardized way of like taking into consideration all the different things that we do in a day and how much emissions we could potentially have in a year. Let's just bring this back to the car driving thing for perspective. If you skip driving 1 unnecessary mile. So for those of us that have no sense of direction, this is not looking great. But let's imagine we didn't get lost and drive out of our way for just 1 mile. You can offset the carbon from over 3 weeks of daily LLM searches. So if you just don't get lost and drive a mile out of your direction, you can use the same amount of resources as 3 weeks of 10 different searches on a large language model. Crazy, right? When you think about it that way, okay? Now, we have to talk about this. The main argument that I've heard for the amount of water that it takes for cooling systems to cool these AI models. So basically what's happening is in these data centers, the only way for this type of AI unit, okay, I'm going to go so simple on this. This is not my thing, so I'm going to put it into terms that my brain also comprehends. If you were to basically go back and say like, I have a very hot computer and I need to cool it down. What can I cool this down with? A lot of it is water, right? So they cool it down with water so that they don't get overheated and they will continue to work. If you've ever had a computer that is just running all of these things at once and you can hear the fan start to turn on, it's because it's getting really hot and it needs to turn it down. Now imagine that on a larger scale with AI and data centers and buildings and all this stuff, like big computer processing plants. Like your computer is turning itself down. So imagine that on a much larger scale. Okay. So these data centers have notoriously used, for the most part, and not all of them, and we are seeing a lot of transition here, but evaporative cooling systems. So basically, they are systems that spray water over cooling pads or through towers, and large fans blow air across the water. And then the water absorbs the heat and then evaporates into the atmosphere, carrying the heat away. So the process removes the water from the system, and the water must be replenished by external sources such as municipal water supplies. Now, that is the key, right? Especially in locations that don't have a lot of water on hand, right? Think about Arizona, just different locations out there like that. Unlike me, in Water World here in South Carolina, you don't have access to endless amounts of water. My dad worked for the water department until he recently retired, almost his entire life. And so he always wanted to retire to Arizona from Vermont. He was like, it's hot, it's awesome, there's dry heat, like I love it. But then when it came time for him to retire, he's like, no, there's no water there. Like, I don't want to be there when they run out of water. They can't even put on water fountains or water their yards, like there's no waste. So they're actually moving out here. So that's exciting. When my mom is retired in the end of the year, they will be coming down to Charleston, which is really great. Lived near them since high school, so I'm excited about that. But that's the thing. This isn't, in some locations, endless uses of water. Like, especially if they're tapping into municipal water supplies. They're not just going to a pond or an ocean. Like, they're looking for water that should be going into people's homes or tap or stuff like that to cool these things that have been treated. Okay, so the evaporated water is lost to the environment, so it does not return to the data center or local water supply that it was used from. It is now evaporated, so it's not water, right? So these systems technically are like wasting that water because you can't use it again to cool. All right, it's evaporated. So the whole process would start again. And so if you imagine, like, you just took that water from somebody's house that potentially wanted to boil some water for noodles or have a little bit of water for drinking, like that type of stuff. It is now gone and used to cool an AI unit. They have to start over again. So there's only so much time when you can be doing that, right? There's only so much usage, and then that pulls on the other electricity and all the other stuff, right? So, some water remains in the system, but it becomes increasingly concentrated with minerals and chemicals as the water evaporates. So, it's eventually blown down water, which is discharged and then replenished, and then, new water is coming in. So, not all cooling methods are the same, though. There's also a method called liquid cooling closed loop systems, and these are being adopted by some data centers. They help to circulate the water with other coolants in a sealed loop. So that is greatly reducing or even eliminating water loss from evaporation. So the water is reused many, many times, making these systems much more efficient. Innovative solutions like reclaimed wastewater, so treated sewage, like, not the municipal water, like this is right after it goes through like one of the treatments for cleaning out the sewage. If you've ever been to a water plant, you should, or if you've never been, you should go. It's fascinating to see like how water comes from the dirtiest stages to clean, drinkable water. Like if you've never seen it, I recommend. I've been doing this with my dad for a very long time. But liquid, okay, let me take a step back. So they are using treated sewage for cooling, and it's also being implemented by companies like AWS. It reduces the use of potable, so the drinking water, and allows the water to be treated and reused multiple times before the final discharge. Okay, so some of them are using the traditional evaporated cooling systems. Some of them are now switching over to these closed loop liquids. There's lots of different ways that people are coming up to be able to expand these plants, these data processing centers. The issue is that the direct water use and the strain on the supplies, like the massive consumption, is number one, right? So a single large data center can use up to 5 million gallons of drinking water per day to supply thousands of households or farms, so data farms. In regions like Phoenix, dozens of data centers collectively consume over 170 million gallons of water daily, and that is putting immense pressure on their already fragile water supplies. Bingo. There we go. What did I just say? Like, my dad was wanting to go there, and this was even before he really realized the impacts, I think, of the AI usage. This was just like, well, they already don't really have enough water. Now let's add more of a strain to it. So there's a lot here. I do recommend that you kind of look into, like, some places it matters more because we don't always have like the supply, where some locations do have a lot of water that they can treat and move quickly. And then you've got like the wastewater where you can use that, and then the coolants, and not use potable drinking water for that. Okay, so here's in summary: the data center water consumption, especially for AI, can significantly strain local water resources, particularly in water-stressed areas. Most water used for cooling is lost to evaporation and cannot be reused, leading to competition with local communities in agriculture. While there are emerging solutions and efficiency efforts, the rapid expansion of AI infrastructure is intensifying this challenge. Okay. So, why are most of these data centers still drawn to the local water? I mean, number one, there's no uniform regulations or transparency. So I found this fascinating, that only 16% of major data center companies publicly disclose their water management plans. Okay, and that was from an article on NPR. So only 16% of major data centers are actually publicly disclosing this information. Many municipalities have not historically required water balance studies or sustainable measures as a condition for permitting new data centers. So companies often use the cheapest and most established cooling methods, which draw heavily on water supplies. No regulation. And if it works and nobody's going to stop them, yeah, it's cheaper. It's already in place. They're going to do it, right? Economic incentives favor the status quo. So water is often priced cheaply for industrial users, so the rates are not tied to scarcity and total consumption. This makes it financially attractive for data centers to use large amounts of municipal water, even in drought-prone areas. Why are we doing this? I feel like I say that every single day in this world that we live in, but like so much yuck out of all of this. Like, you have the choice to be better and you choose not to. Like, this just never will make sense to me. I don't get it, because what I'm going to talk about next is that we have the choice to be better, and I think a lot of us that are listening are going to take it, right? These companies have the ability to put money in their pockets, and that's what they're going to take. They're going to take the water out of people's homes, and they're going to put it into AI cooling systems because it's cheaper and because nobody told them no, right? Like, what in the are we doing? I laugh because, like, I just can't anymore with some of these things. Like, can we just have women run the world soon? Like, I'm sorry, but I think it's almost time. Okay, so I would love for you guys to just continue to do your research on this. Change is coming. All right, that's kind of the good thing here, where like now that we talk about these things, you actually know how they work, and we can, say stuff to people and make sure that other people know, right? So self-sustaining water neutral designs are emerging, but they're not required and they're not widely adopted quite yet. Okay. There's also like no regulation on local locations. So for those of you that are in these areas that you already have water issues, speak to people in your local government and try and bring on change there, because screaming into oblivion and trying to tell people that this is an issue where it's not an issue for them is going to fall on deaf ears. And I want you to make a difference in your local community. That's a place to start. Okay. Regulations. Like, do your research. I'm just giving you high levels today, but do your research on all of this. And then, of course, as awareness is growing, new technologies provide viable, more more sustainable, and hopefully we'll start to mandate and adopt these regulations and policies to protect the local water supplies. I mean, if anything, just freaking protect the local water supplies. Like, what are we doing? Oh my goodness. Okay. So let's talk about, though, like what we can do as designers, as humans in our day-to-day life. Okay. So we can maximize our energy efficiency in our home. So number one, we can start with like smart thermostats, right? So thermostats, lighting, AI powered devices that actually can assist with those things. They're becoming more relevant, more helpful. So smart thermostats alone can cut down on heating and cooling energy by 10 to 15% just from having a smart thermostat. Energy efficient appliances. I mean, we have been looking at Energy Star rated appliances for years now, but these and LED lighting can help to reduce your electricity consumption, which would, reduce the demand on the data centers and the power grid as well. Improve insulation and window efficiency. Like so much heat escapes, especially in these older houses. Just being able to keep your heat and your cooling inside your house. That's a huge thing, right? You're not using all these other resources. Prioritize sustainable materials and furnishings. So select low impact recycled or rapidly renewable. So we've talked about this for a very long time. I know that I did my senior thesis when I was studying biophilic design on this 15 years ago. I graduated college 15 years ago. So this is not new. Low VOC paints and finishes, secondhand in vintage furniture, repurpose, reuse, recycle, all that stuff, especially with tariffs. It's a great place to go antiquing. So much of my home is, just from hand-me-downs that I have redone, but they also hold a very special place in my heart. So like half the things you see behind me are from like my grandparents or family members, or just something that I found at a antique place and I just really loved. So, I mean, I hope we see even more of an influx than we already are on repurpose and sustainable choices for that type of stuff. Okay, now we also have smart water conservation. So installing water saving features like low flow faucets, shower heads, dual flushing toilets, monitor water usage. So smart home systems can help and track when you have like leaks or excessive usage. And you can make the proper adjustments. Harvest rainwater and for non-potable uses. Man, if I could do this, I would love to. One day, that's definitely on my list. I would love to create systems for reusing water. It's also something that I put in my senior thesis 15 years ago. Okay, so support and advocate for sustainable data center practices. So choose digital services from companies with strong sustainability commitments. So you don't have to choose places based off of their tools, right? Eventually, everybody's going to be creating very similar things anyway. So if we think about the way that we can make our own selections, are they using closed loop type deals? Are they wasting water? Like those types of things, you have the choice to use them or to not. And then just be mindful of unnecessary in cloud AI usage. Do you have to use it? Like I've said this time and time again, like we don't always have to use this. You can use your brain. You can definitely use your brain for a lot of the things that people are using this for. So just be aware. Okay. Just be aware. So, I mean, there's other things here for HVAC systems, well-placed windows, just like good design. Imagine that we could cut down on sustainability, enhance our sustainability and cut down on the use of resources that are killing our planet just with good design. It's almost like you should hire a designer that knows what they're talking about. Weird. Imagine that. I don't know. I don't know. Weird. All right, guys, I'm going to give you just a breakdown of what some of these things that I just mentioned would literally, like, if we were to have numbers associated with what you could be doing in your day to day life, how much savings per year these could potentially net you. Okay. All right. So first I'm going to do it per year and then first I'll do it per day. Okay, so let's say you did 10 inquiries using a large language model, an LLM, per day. All right. That would equate to daily CO2 impact. Okay, so that's what that is there. Now, smart thermostat savings. So if you were to get that thermostat and start using it, that would be every day negative 1.23. You know what? I'm probably going to just have to upload this because I don't listen to numbers well. I have to visually see them. So I will include this. But energy efficient appliances is negative 0.82. Sustainable materials and this is a daily thing. Okay. So, well, 0.044 is how much you would be using in your daily emissions for 10 inquiries with an LLM. Everything else here is like negative impact that you could be doing. Water saving features could be 0.27 in reversing this. Negative rainwater harvesting 0.014. Same with reducing digital footprint, passive design strategies. Okay, so let's do a comparison with these small little switches. So if you were to maybe have an upfront cost to be a little bit more environmentally sound, what would the upfront cost estimation be, the annual savings, the payback during a period of years, and just other little pieces here. By installing a smart thermostat in your home, the upfront cost is about $350. The annual savings would be between $100 and $145 a year. The payback period, like for it to pay for itself back, would be 2.5 to 3.5 years. This would, so this is the notes on savings and use. So this would be between 8 and 15% off of the heating and cooling bills just from doing that. So not even think about AI, like you could just save yourself some money by going with a smart thermostat. Energy efficient appliances. So we'll say about $1,000 average per appliance is the upfront cost. The annual savings is about $100 per appliance per year. And then the payback period would be about 10 years. So this varies by appliance. It's more of a long-term savings. Sustainable materials, I mean, that's going to be a huge range, but generally that pays back itself within 4 to 8 years. Savings from energy efficiency and durability. Water saving features upfront could be about $100. Annual savings about $50. It'll lower your water bills with a faster payback within about 2 years. Rainwater harvesting upfront is about $3,000. Annual savings is about $4,800. It does reduce your water bills for like irrigation and stuff, but long term it's going to take about 6.25 years to pay that. Okay, for the upfront cost. All right. So let's now kind of look at, like, those are general things that you can do in your home to like say, okay, this is how much AI is going to use if I do 10 searches per day. Now let's real quick look at the positives for small business. And then I'm going to switch back to like just your day to day, like things that you do, right? So I have researched here using SBE. So there's a few different resources in in these findings, but SBE, which is Small Business and Entrepreneurial. I'm so bad with that word. So SBE Council, Small Business and Entrepreneurship Council .org is what this is from, and their report is from 2023. Okay, so it's a little bit older, but even then, they were reporting that small businesses, and at the time, it was not a lot of small businesses that were included in this. They were saying that their value from using AI was $7,500 annually. So they could see the return immediately in about $7,500, like, worth of a ROI from using AI in their business. Now, this other report from Marketing Profs in 2024 said that there's 40% in 2024 of small businesses using AI, which was actually up 23% from 2023. So, that's kind of when everybody started using it. I'd be curious to see where we're at now. But from all these people and all these reports that I'm now just like consolidating here, they say that people were reporting that it saves them about 13 hours per week on work. Okay, so yes, it can potentially have a return financially of about $7,500 according to this 2023 study and report from SBE Council, but time also. So to get back the time is 13 hours per week, either as the owner or as an employee of a company. So that was pretty wild, right? So on average, I mean, it's saving thousands of dollars and really freeing you up to have the time to do the better things and design better spaces that could actually help us. So with that being said, the carbon impact and the daily AI use for about 10 searches a day is very tiny compared to the energy and water that we use in our homes and our studios. So let's look at what that means in number wise. If you were to take one 10-minute hot shower, that's going to emit 2 kilograms of CO2. The annual LLM usage for 10 searches a day for 1 year equates to 8 hot showers. 8. That's it. Okay? If you drive 1 mile in your car, it emits 411 grams of CO2. Annual LLMs will use about 39 miles less than a week's worth of short commutes for many people. All right. And that might be hard to understand. So let's talk about a dryer. So 1 load in a tumble dryer emits 1 kilogram of CO2. The annual LLM is like running your dryer 16 times. So you could use ChatGPT 10 times a day for an entire year, or you can run your tumble dry dishwasher 16 times. That's the difference. Okay. Now, if you were to leave a light bulb on, like a standard 100-watt light bulb for 4 hours, it emits 172 grams of CO2. So basically, if you left that same bulb on for 4 hours every day for 93 days, that's the same as using your LLM for the entire year usage. So if you use AI 10 times a day for a whole year, the total carbon footprint is about the same as taking 8 hot showers, running your dryer 16 times, driving less than 40 miles, less of an impact than leaving 1 light bulb on for a few hours a day or a few months or enjoying a latte each week, okay? In other words, your daily AI use is a tiny fraction of the overall carbon footprint, and just a few sustainable choices at home can easily offset that times over, time and time again. So just consider that, all right? Just consider the fact that we have the power to hang our clothes on a dryer 16 times during the year and not give up using AI that could potentially profit our business, give us more time, be able to do this for others, what I'm telling you about right now as designers, and create more of an impact in everybody's life because we now are educated on this topic. We know what to look for in different places that we could potentially be offsetting the things that we cannot control right now, which is these large data centers and what they are actually doing at a larger scale to the environment, right? So are there benefits and good things happening with these data centers? Yes, there are definitely places that are being optimized for sustainability. Is it happening fast enough? No, because nobody's regulating it. There's nobody really saying, can't use our public water supply, we need to drink that. But here we are. They are still just running right through it, okay? So I'm just going to leave you with this. If you drive 1 mile in your car, it creates 25 times more CO2 than doing 10 searches one day. 1 mile, okay? One day of 10 large language model questions, okay? So you just ask 10 different questions in one day is equivalent to the amount of driving 0.04 miles, which is about 200 feet. That's the same emissions, okay? So if you're like me, try not to get lost. Don't go the extra long way around the block. And maybe we can reverse this in some way. but it's going to take a lot of us and really understanding like what this really is, because there's a massive disconnect, I think, right now. And I think there's also a lot of hidden things that people want you to think are problems and are not actually problems, and problems that they are hiding. Let's do our research. Let's educate ourselves. Let's do what we do best and design sustainable spaces so that our world will be here for our kids. That's it. I just want a world for my kids. All right. That's it for episode 50. I'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Thanks for listening to today's episode of the AI for Interior Designers podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and tune in next week for more AI tips for your design business. See you next time.